Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
They've added to this lineup. You could put Domi anywhere, Bertuzzi anywhere. Nyes with a full season will look good. You know, Calle Yarncroke is a player that a lot of people have on a block right now, but he's a guy who scored you 20 goals and can be pushed down your lineup and actually play on a third line and still give you some depth scoring. But if the Leafs are to win the Cup, it's got to be on the backs of the guys who pay the $11 million plus to do the job, and that's Matthews, Marner, and John Tavares, and soon to be, I think, Willie Nylander as well.
See if you can wrap this up in a minute. Jamie from Cole Harbour writes in and says, what about Ryan O'Reilly saying about the team not going out for team dinners? And it seems it's only Marner and Matthews in the spotlight in Toronto. Will that hurt the morale and chemistry? I didn't know he said that. What are your thoughts on that?
It will not hurt the morale and chemistry. You look at Luke Shen last year in the playoffs, took all the guys out to steakhouses, organized dinners. It just seemed like they didn't have that locker room guy to do those things. And what has Ryan Reeves been preaching since he's got here? I'm going to drag all the guys out. I'm going to be organizing all the stuff. Everybody's going to be together on the road and not in their hotel rooms. And if you are in your room, I'm going to drag them out and make sure they come and hang out with everybody. So that will build the morale. That'll build the camaraderie. And these guys will be together doing things. I think it's just lacked a guy like that in the locker room. John Tavares is a great captain, but he's not a social captain. So you need a social captain in the room. And I think Ryan Reeves, even though new, carries that weight in the league.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
God bless you, because I see Naylor saying the same thing about the going to one division versus two. I've given up 20 years full-time in the Canadian Football League here, following the league since 1991, doing sidelines. It ain't happened in that time. I was lobbying for it. Oh, and then we want to talk about CFL expansion. I gave up.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, it is. Happy Football Friday, everybody. Welcome. Come on inside. Where is my bell? Right here. You see, as I placate our Alberta audience, this is a Medicine Hat Tigers shirt that I'm wearing, not Clemson Tigers or LSU. But that's just between us. I'm broadcasting from the Florida studio. Darren Moose DuPont joins us from the City of Champions, which will always be to me, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Are you ready, Moose, to talk some football? What is on your mind football-wise here before we map out the show and jump into the Quick Six Show topics?
Yeah, what you got in the topics is on my mind. I mean, I'm also last night's Thursday night football game and a big college weekend, too. So it's going to be great today.
Jim Barker coming up from the CFL on TSN, five-time Grey Cup champion, and Justin Dunk, the #1 insider in Canadian football and also the host of a Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. I want to read one text message. Let's get into it before we get down to it. For EMJ Marketing, they bring you the text line 902-518-3033. EMJ Marketing will provide the perfect keynote speaker for your event. Tony in Calgary writes in. If you recall near the end of yesterday's show, I said, give me your take on the Blue Jays, everybody, and we're going to jump into that right away. Tony writes in, he says, my heart has baseball in it. Trade Vladdy this winter for everything you can get. He is not clutch. He says, I've been trying to rant and rave to someone for weeks. I discovered your show today next to the Golf Channel. Best of luck with the show. I'm getting all these messages come in of people that have just discovered the RP show. So come on inside and welcome, and you'll get to know us, and hopefully you stick around. You'll like or loathe us. I don't care either way. Just keep watching. Did he hit the show horn, Tuna? You couldn't have. Tuna, hit the show horn, please. And we'll jump. Yeah, hit it. Let's go! Starting with Thursday night football. Thank you. David Montgomery rushed for 121 yards. This is a Football Friday, by the way. We do have some hockey and baseball coming up, but Fridays are reserved for the gridiron here on the RP Show, Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show. The Detroit Lions asserted themselves as the team to beat in the NFC North, dominating the first half and beating the Green Bay Packers 34-20 Thursday. Montgomery carried the ball 32 times, 3 touchdowns. I don't think I mentioned that after he sat out the Lions' NFL victory over Atlanta last Sunday with a thigh bruise. He's the first Lion to rush for 3 touchdowns ever at Green Bay. But there is Colin Kaepernick news that I'd rather get to that. Do you have any take on this game? Other than the Lions were favored by 3.5 going in, they won by 2 touchdowns, so it wasn't a big surprise on Thursday Night Football.
Well, no, but it was a bit of a statement for them. Jared Goff continues to just, not get the credit. And this team, since, the middle point of last year, is one of the best teams in all of football. I think we're riding the Detroit Lions wave. I think it's a lot of fun. Their defense is good. Their offense is putting up points. Got a great coach that people like. It's a great story in Detroit.
We are going to play NFL Deal or No Deal for our official betting partner, Bet Regal, coming up next hour. So we won't spend a lot of time on the NFL here. However, I love when the NFL and CFL morph, and they have. Colin Kaepernick has been added to the BC Lions negotiation list, which, if memory serves, and for those that don't know, I worked in the football league on a full-time basis for 20 years, and I don't think the negotiation list has changed. There's 50 spots on there. It's a protected list that only you could negotiate with the players that you put on your list. And the BC Lions put Colin Kaepernick on theirs. As we all know, he hasn't played since 2016. The kneeling controversy in the National Football League, protesting the anthem and police brutality in his mind. And he sent a letter to the New York Jets last week that he would like to come and serve as their scout team quarterback, basically. And the BC Lions have added him to their neg list. So our poll question today is brought to you by Key Auto Group. At the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence, knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. Do you think Colin Kaepernick will ever play pro football again? My answer to the poll question is no. And I don't want to spend much more time on this because he hasn't played for 7 years now. It's too late. It's too long. Sayonara. Beware of the fake news. This is real. His letter to the Jets was real. But there's talk of Zach Wilson being sent down to the Canadian Football League by the Jets. And that is fake news. So I'm kind of tired of the Kaepernick Jets quarterback situation as we sit here today. Yes or no for you? Does Kaepernick ever play again, Moose?
No, and I think it's because he's not looking at the Canadian Football League. Maybe it changes, but I think, if he's willing to come to the CFL or go to the XFL, USFL, or whatever they're going to call the merged leagues, that's the only way he's going to play pro ball. I don't think it's happening in the National Football League.
I read the story at tsn.ca, story broken by our good friend Farhan Lalji of TSN Vancouver, and there were no quotes from the Lions. There was nothing other than they've added Kaepernick. Not what their plans might be for him, what the chances are of him showing up. So for me, it's a whole lot of fake news, and it's a no from us, dog. Point 2, pitcher Chris Bassett reached 200 innings for the first time. Brandon Belt hit a 3-run homer, and the Toronto Blue Jays moved one step closer to an AL wildcard berth by beating the New York Yankees 6-0 Thursday night. Dalton Varsho and Matt Chapman hit solo homers for the Jays. George Springer had 3 hits, and Kevin Biggio had 2 hits and reached base 3 times for Toronto. But this ain't a baseball show. Not today, really not ever, unless the Jays make the playoffs. So I move on to point 3. Everybody was watching Thursday Night Football. I was watching an NHL preseason game between Chicago and St. Louis and loving every minute of it. Connor Bedard of North Vancouver, BC, played his first preseason game with the Chicago Blackhawks Thursday night, and fans of the original 6 franchise were stoked. The first overall pick had 2 assists in the Blackhawks' 2-1 win over the St. Louis Blues. Blackhawks coach Luke Richardson started Bedard on a line with wingers Taylor Hall and Ryan Donato. Let's all take a minute and realize that Rod was right when he said that Connor Bedard's going to be on the Blackhawks top line. Said that back in July. Here we are. He won the game's opening draw. Thank you, NHL Network, for carrying the game. I had friends at the game sending me photos from it. We're all just pleased as punch. And listen, I don't want to talk down to anybody because there's no dumb questions, as they say. There's no dumb questions. So somebody wrote me and said, any chance they send him down to the Regina Pats? He centered the top line. They had their full lineup, or close to it, playing last night. Hall, Donato, Foligno played last night. He's already made. Corey Perry played last. He might be their best player. Not going anywhere. So he was Bedard was doing Bedard things last night in the National Hockey League. Are you surprised or not, Moose?
I'm not surprised at all. We talked about what he would do yesterday in his debut as we were previewing the game. And yeah, he didn't score, but like you see the highlights, he's skating through people, he's bringing energy. And it was just 2, but he was in on every single Blackhawks goal. Like, where have we seen that before? If Bedard's not in on the goal, the team doesn't score. You know? So it's awesome. And it's just nothing should surprise us. He is just seamlessly transitioning to the next level. I know it's one game. Let's not overreact, but man, it's fun.
So, hey, it's the Rod Pedersen Show, not Sports Center, so I'll tell a couple of stories here. I just knew, as a guy who's been around sports, and my dad being a scout in the NHL for 26 years, I know how these things go. I knew that Bedard would be better when surrounded by better players. Some guys are great in junior or college and get up to the NHL level, and they can't keep up. Connor is not one of those players. And to be honest, I could have been a scout. I didn't want to. I want to do this. But here's something I didn't tell you. Tonight, after the Florida Panthers game, they play Carolina tonight at 6 p.m. at Amerint Bank Arena. I'm going to chat with Paul Maurice after the game about his son, Jake. Did I tell you that Paul Maurice's son, Jake, is the voice of the Florida Everblades? It's like an hour and a half from here in Estero, Florida at Hertz Arena. Yeah, it's his kid. So I met him in Estero a few weeks ago at the rookie camp. I want to talk to Pomo a little more about his kid, Jake, and I want to get him on the show. So the point is, my dad was in hockey as a scout. Pomo's in hockey as a coach. Their kids are broadcasters because it's easier. We don't get fired as much, although we do get fired. Our hockey coverage is brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company. Head on down to the tap room in Calgary's 28th Street Northeast, Thursday through Saturday, 12 to 8 p.m. They've got us on the big screens there. People are messaging me. Check it out, Common Crown Craft Beer, watching our show. What could be finer? Nothing. So that's our hockey coverage. And I'm going to move into the Canadian Football League now. Way more NFL next hour with you. Actually, because you're in Edmonton, ready to call Canadian University football. Here are the games this weekend. UBC Thunderbirds at Saskatchewan Huskies. Regina Rams at Alberta Golden Bears. That's what Moose is there to call. And the Calgary Dinos at the Manitoba Bisons this weekend. Give me a quick lay of the land of Canada West football.
Yeah, UBC continues to be the top team right now in the conference with Saskatchewan right behind them. So that UBC Saskatchewan game is probably the marquee one on the calendar. But Alberta Regina will be interesting. Young quarterback for the Rams, and Owen Seaman, highly touted. And Alberta's got a great offense. They're very good. So this will be a fun game tonight. And the one game I always try and give you a little bit of the country. Western #1 team in the country, defending Vanier Cup champions, has Windsor, who's moved up to #4. Windsor's playing pretty well, and they might shock Western. It was just a couple of weeks ago that Queens almost upset Western. So some fun university games north of the border this week.
Thanks for the update. Jim Barker coming up next segment from the CFL on TSN. Justin Dunk next hour from 3downnation.com. From the audience, Wilfin Steinbach writes in on the EMJ Marketing text line, and he says, hi, Rod and Moose. Kaepernick thinks he's too good for the CFL. To get into the NFL, he'll need to buy a ticket. From Bomber Boy in Calgary. From Bomber Boy in Calgary, he says, it's time for Football Friday on the best daytime sports show, Rod Squad. Thank you, Bomber Boy. So let's take a look at the Canadian Football League. And by the way, my guy, Chris Sanford, the other day at the gym, he's like, why wouldn't Kaepernick play in the CFL? Why wouldn't he? I said, because he's too arrogant. Chris was watching the show here. So, Chris Sanford, thank you. By the way, Moose, I'm feeling a little under the weather. You should all feel very honored that I'm even on the air today because I've been sick. Were you sick this week? You sounded like you were a little stuffed up. Yeah, I got it. I got it from you.
It's battling. You must have.
Okay.
Yeah, the new thing.
We spent a lot of time yesterday on the Argos Bombers game tonight, and I'm over it. Winnipeg's complaining that Chad Kelly, the star Toronto quarterback, isn't playing because it's taken away from this heavyweight matchup tonight, a Grey Cup rematch, a Grey Cup preview, whatever you want to say. I see Doug Brown. I don't know if he used the term cowardly or something, but Doug Brown, the Hall of Fame defensive tackle for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, retired now. Now they're radio analyst, calling out the Argos and Ryan Dinwiddie for not playing him. Doug Brown doesn't know anything about winning championships. Sorry. And that's what the Argos are doing, what's best for them. And I've had enough about talking about it. So tonight, Saskatchewan at BC. Lions favored by 10. This is my game of the week in the Canadian Football League. People still voting for the Argos-Bombers game, so that's good. I'm sure the ratings will be huge because the whole country's going to be peering in to see how it goes down. But the Rider-Lions game is a big one at night, too, and I see their general manager, Saskatchewan's general manager, Jeremy O'Day, meeting with the media this week, not wanting to address his future. And I'm like, Darren, you got to help me. You've spent more time here the last couple of weeks in Western Canada. Saskatchewan is in a playoff spot in the CFL West. If they win every game the rest of the way, nobody can catch them. So why all the gloom and doom? Like, I understand the point spread tonight's 10. I think Sask will beat the spread, and I frankly think they're good enough to beat BC. They beat them once already in Sask this year. Why the gloom and doom? They're talking about the GM's already going to get fired, and if he's fired, then it's a foregone conclusion the coach is going to get fired. I'm like, wakey. Don't they have like 4 games left? Now isn't the time to be talking about this stuff. What's with the gloom and doom, bruh?
Oh, I know, but you shouldn't be surprised if they're not in first. They think the sky is falling, and coming off the game against Ottawa, just not a confident group. I'm talking about the fan base, not a confident fan base right now, and that's unfortunate. But it's been up and down. They haven't been able to win consistently on the road, so there is some things, and they just, for some reason, don't seem to trust this group. And look at they're in a playoff spot. If they get in and win, I wonder how much complaining there will be. But I mean, you have to see this through. They're not going anywhere now. You're not bringing another coach or GM mid-season to take this team through the playoffs. So this is what you have. No need to complain until the season's over. And even then, wait and see what happens.
Leanne in Regina writes in, she says, Bomber fans aren't happy unless they have something to bitch about. Smart move by the Argos, and the Bombers would do the exact same thing if they were in that position. Right, I've been saying it for the last couple of days. And by the way, if Winnipeg could look past their shoelaces, they'd realize they should be happy about this. They're ticked in BC what's going on because they feel that the Argos are laying down and giving the Bombers the win here tonight. Winnipeg, hello, you should be happy about this. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, I think the Argos are too comfortable and will lose to their opponent in the Eastern Final. You just worry about your Calgary Stampeders. That should keep you busy for a while. Jeff, the Stamps fan. Okay, Moose, we haven't talked U.S. college football. I can't believe how upset Prime was at Colorado getting motorboated in Oregon last week by 30 points. They got USC this week, and that's a big talk down here. So we'll talk that. NFL deal or no deal. And I appreciate the comments that are coming in. I'll try to get to them here before the hour is out. See you, Moose. Jim Barker from the CFL on TSN joins us next. We are live on the Game Plus television network. Also, WQEE Radio in Atlanta. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Guys, Manscaped has done it again, introducing the Handyman Facial Razor. It's brand new and not for your junk. It's for up top, and like every Manscaped product, tons of thought has gone into it. They shipped it to me right here in Boca Raton, Florida. Sleek, thin, charges with your USB. All you young hockey players and football players that follow this show and me, listen to the podcast, order it. Simplify your road game and get 20% off with a promo code The RP Show at manscaped.com. That's The RP Show is the promo code for 20% off and free shipping for this, the Handyman, Lawnmower 2.0, and the Weed Whacker for your nose and ears. Okay, let's bring him in. CFL on TSN's Jim Barker with a plethora of things to get to in the Canadian Football League. Jim, you've been in this situation before. We saw this coming. The Argos would clinch early, and they have. Now they're resting Chad Kelly, and they're still crying about it in Winnipeg. What do you think about this story?
Well, when I first heard about it, I look at it a little different. Obviously, as a fan, you want to see the best go against the best, and you want to, although really this game for Winnipeg is about winning their division. And the Argos have earned the right to do what they're doing. Now, personally, as I looked at it on the weekend before they made the announcement, I said, what can best prepare us for the Grey Cup? And to me, this is their last game. This is a Grey Cup environment. It could be if they wouldn't have said Chad Kelly isn't playing, they would have just gone on normal. It would be a Grey Cup atmosphere there on tonight. I think that they could have started Chad and played. This is what I probably would have done. Started Chad and played him a quarter. Not ever said he's only going to play a quarter. I want them thinking, you're going to get my best. And I'm going to give them, 10 different formations, different things to see how they react. And give Chad a feel of what it's like to have that 6'8" pass rusher in the B gap, because that's a different feeling. I mean, they have Sean Oakman, but when you're in a ball game, it's different when you have Willie Jefferson on the field trying to bat passes down and just giving him a feel of the kinds of things that he might get in Winnipeg and then take him out after a quarter. But I think there's a lot of things they could have gained in their preparation for a potential Grey Cup opponent. With that being said, again, the main thing is that they're healthy, and if they felt like they're not going to see much against Winnipeg because Winnipeg's going to just throw nothing but blitz every play. They got a quarterback who's never started before, and they're going to just come after him, and that's what you do with a young quarterback. And this game is crucial for Winnipeg, because if they win it and then BC wins it, then next week basically they're playing for that Western Division title.
Of course, for that reason, Winnipeg should be happy that Chad Kelly isn't playing. And by the way, folks, our CFL coverage is brought to you in part by Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic craft beer. Check them out at sobercarpenter.com. I'm enjoying everybody getting wrapped up in Dinwiddie said this, Dinwiddie said that. Who cares what they say in the media? I don't even read the quotes anymore because that doesn't mean anything at all. But do you think Chad Kelly plays, like how much do you play him down the stretch, knowing you've already clinched first?
Again, I think always about my team. What does he need? And Don Matthews used to say, how do we know what he needs? He's going to tell us. So if it was Doug Flutie, he would say, Doug, how much do you need in this and this and this? And listens to what the quarterback says. Now, you got a little different situation here with Chad because he's a first-year quarterback. So Ryan has to make some of those decisions. I mean, the fans, it's a difficult one because let's say they play Chad and just play him a quarter and take him out. Are the fans going to be irate about that? And they're going to say, well, he really kind of lied to us and was deceptive and, that kind of thing. I was kind of surprised that so early in the week they said that they were going to sit him. So they had made that decision long before. And again, no team has ever clinched it with 6 games to go. If Winnipeg had clinched it, they could sit Zach Collaros. But they lost to Ottawa, and they've lost 4 games. They've lost games, so they don't have that right. They need to win because they're going to lose the Western Division if they don't win this one in next week. So again, it's one of those things that it's beautiful for the league because there's no right answer to this. We're not going to know the right answer until after the Grey Cup. And if Chad Kelly lines up and he's healthy and he plays fantastic, then Ryan Dinwiddie made the right move. I'm already going to say he made the right move. The Bomber D-line has a history and reputation of headshots on quarterbacks. So I'm all for Dinwiddie. And I'm tired of the crying out of Winnipeg. I'm tired of it. Hey, moving on tonight. It's the reason they're crying. It's the reason they're crying that has you upset. Because there's, I don't know. It is what it is, Rod.
I hate complainers. You don't hear me complain much, except about people that complain. Riders at Lions tonight. The point spread doesn't matter, but BC is favored by 10. That's a huge game. To me, this is Canada's game of the week. A lot of pressure on the Riders for sure. What's your read on this game?
Again, I think that it's BC disappointed me last time they played in BC Place, and but I just think they're a better team. They have more weapons. Saskatchewan is they have played flat. They just haven't played. Last week against Ottawa, they just didn't play well. I mean, the score flattered them, and that's sad. So I've kind of lost a little bit of confidence in Saskatchewan and the kind of team they have. Again, the Calgary plays Hamilton, and who knows what happens with that in terms of potential Calgary catching them. I don't know. I think that's a tough one. Saskatchewan plays Calgary again, and then Calgary's other 2 games are against BC and Winnipeg, and both those teams need to win in order to stay ahead of the other one. So I don't like Calgary's chances at all. I think Saskatchewan's going to be in the playoffs. I don't see Ottawa catching them and crossing over. I just don't see that happening. So, Saskatchewan tonight, you're getting 4 of the playoff teams, and it should be very interesting. Saskatchewan needs to assert themselves. They need to figure out what they are. They've been a good team at stopping the run, then they're not a good team at stopping the run. They can run the ball, then they can't run the ball. They're kind of an enigma to me. I thought their tackling last week was pathetic, and you can't win this time of the year with really poor tackling because teams are throwing high percentage passes. They're going to get the ball to their playmakers, and you better have guys that come up and tackle them. And last week, I didn't think Saskatchewan did. So, again, I think this is a difficult game for Saskatchewan. I think it's a big, big game for BC, obviously, and setting up that match next week between Winnipeg and BC, which will be phenomenal.
Well, it would almost take a miracle for Sask to not make the playoffs based on what you all just said. Edmonton's clinging, and after an 0-9 start, they shouldn't be in the playoffs. Calgary doesn't really deserve it either. So I don't get all the negativity surrounding the Rough Riders other than right now it's a negative situation, negative organization. But on that Calgary-Hamilton game, all things being equal, and boy, would it be great if Bo was playing for this game, this matchup. But what are you seeing in Calgary? We talked about Dave Dickenson maybe too much on his plate. That can't be changed now. That's an off-season thing.
No.
Huge game Saturday, Stamps and Ticats. What's your read on that? And if Taylor Powell wins, why would they even talk about playing Bo Levi the rest of the way? Because this kid is getting hot.
And that's a great point. Is do you bring Bo Levi back for who knows what? They're in a battle to catch Montreal and to basically get the home field advantage in the playoff game, and they're very much in that. Calgary's going to be playing for the first time it's going to be not very long before they're playing their string out, and their last two games are against BC and Winnipeg, and that doesn't bode well for them. And it's sad to watch the crowds because I was there back in 2003 and contributed to. When the crowds went down under 5,000, and then 2004 I was replaced, but the team was not very good. The city didn't buy into them. And I'm not saying that's happening now, but when John Ferzani and Ted Hellard bought that team in 2005, it became Calgary's team again. And I was fortunate enough to get to go back as a general manager and help to rebuild it. But there was just a lot of work to do. Now it's down now for different reasons. Again, I think they've had a ton of injuries. They've got 17 key guys that have gone on 6 game. Obviously, the Markeith Ambles thing kind of goes, to people, they just released him. But there's always more to that kind of thing. When you have a guy, it just like there was in Toronto, when they released him, it like immediately sent a shock to me because I thought he was very at what he does. He does the dirty work that nobody sees. He blocks those 260-pound defensive linemen and with no regard, and he's willing to turn up on linebackers and do those kinds of things. So when those kinds of things happen, when you let guys like that, veteran guys, at this time of the year, you just let them go. You're not keeping them on the PR. You just letting them go. There's things that are issues that you're trying to get control of your football team. And I had the same thing happen to me when I was in Calgary in 2003, and I let go of Lawrence Phillips week 15. And we were coming over to play the Riders and ended up losing that game, and who knows, it was, I had fired him on Wednesday. We had the game plan planned with him being there. And, there comes a point when you say, what's more important? So when those kind of things happen, it's kind of an alert to me this time of the season when veteran guys get released completely from the roster. So we don't know. Nobody knows what's going on in Calgary. I think Jake Mayer has been adequate. I don't think he's been a Grey Cup quality quarterback yet, but I do think he's been adequate, and he can grow. And as they get some of their big playmakers back, and their offensive line has been undergone a lot of change all year. So it's kind of a Calgary to me is a team floundering. I don't see them as a team that's challenging at all this year. I don't think they believe they can challenge this year. I mean, obviously they're not going to say that publicly, but Dave is probably as honest a head coach in press conferences as anybody out there. And like he said last time, we just need one win. And I see a coach, general manager that's just trying to find a path to get back to being what the Calgary Stampeders have been.
Yeah, well, you need just one win, and then you need another one. and then you need another one. And the Ottawa people said the same thing. Like, we just need a win, and they got it against Sask last year. I can't let you go without this. We got a lot of U.S. fans of XFL and USFL that watch this show every day. We're on the air in 31 states on television. I'd love to know your take on the merger and, frankly, how that impacts the Canadian Football League, if you don't mind.
Well, I think it helps the Canadian Football League because they're cutting down to 10 teams. I was in the original XFL, and it was fantastic. But Vince McMahon lost $120 million. This year, they only lost half that because they went out of one hub in the XFL. They paid $15 million for the rights to the XFL. It was a uphill battle from the beginning. They tried to cut corners. They tried to do things the right way. I think the USFL has been bought by Fox. And from what I understand from people in that league, it's more of a league for their betting, the Fox betting line. And they feel like it's cheaper to run a football league than it is to have maybe 4 sitcoms, something along those lines. That's how it was put to me. And it made sense. So I see this as, again, they're a true feeder league. I don't think, for example, quarterback, and I think Darnell Sankey said it best. When he came up here, the CFL is a career league. It's a league where you can make a career and leave a mark, and there's a Hall of Fame, and there's never going to be that in the USFL. The USFL it's a tryout league. I mean, you have to understand, the USFL came from a thing called the Spring League, where players paid to go play so that they could get seen by NFL teams. Well, now they have a TV contract, and those players that were paying to play now are getting to play. And they're not having, they're making a little bit of money, not enough to make it real worth it. I think it's one of those things that's going to continue to be what it is. They're not really they're putting a lot of players into training camps. NFL teams are, because of how their timing is, they're taking people right off of that, putting them in training camp so they have enough offensive linemen to give their team their defense a look and enough defense. So I think only 2 guys have made it, the returner for Dallas, and there's one other guy, I'm not even sure who he is, that are on active rosters in the NFL, from both the XFL and the USFL. So again, I think that's it wasn't a shock to me. I thought the XFL was kind of on the way out if they wouldn't have merged. Now the merger thing, they can kind of save face. How much Fox is going to put into it, I don't know. I don't see the quality of play being that much better. The problem is you're going to have different quarterbacks every year. There's nobody, and they're going out of everybody in Birmingham or everybody in Arlington and fly to you wherever you play. So the Las Vegas team they're playing in Las Vegas, but they just fly there the day of the game. And it's hard to develop a fan base anywhere doing that. And, a couple of the cities, Seattle and St. Louis has done okay. But in terms of for the CFL, I think that what it does, it opens up some offensive linemen. I think guys that maybe would go to the XFL and get hurt, that kind of thing. I think offensive linemen that have gone through their NFL thing are going to be more likely to go to the CFL than they are to wait for the USFL.
I appreciate the insight from Don in Ottawa. He says, well said, Jim. Allie in Texas writes in. She says, happy Football Friday, RP and squad. Glad I made it in time to see Jim's smiling face. We are out of time. Jim, break a leg this weekend. We'll be watching. Thanks for the time.
Sounds great. All right, Rod. Thanks.
Jim Barker's appearance is brought to you by EMJ Marketing. For the perfect keynote speaker for your event, look up Joe at emjmarketing.com. We'll be right back with a sports update, audience takeover. We are live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, everybody. Listen, I'll get to your comments in a moment, but the weekend is here. And I don't mean the weekend, the band, nor the fact that we're all going to be letting our hair down this weekend. No, the weekend. The premier sports card convention begins today. Collectors, enthusiasts, and sports lovers uniting at Red Deer's Parkland Pavilion to celebrate the beauty and value of their treasured items. There's time for you to get down there. Look up Virgil from Homestead Collectibles. Tell them the RP show sent you, and they'll give you a good seat in the bathroom. It runs today, Saturday, Sunday. They ask you to get your tickets ahead of time at premiersportscardcon.ca. Premier Sports Card Con, short for convention.ca. These things are so much fun, and I'm going to tell you right now, the potential is unlimited where we're going with this show and that type of event. Here in Hollywood, Florida, a couple weekends from now, Raheem Mostart will be having a live in-person signing at Hollywood Collectibles here. They just had a signing with Matthew Tkachuk a few weeks ago. Hope they got some sports celebrities at that one in Red Deer. So go check it out and let me know what you think. Yeah, it is pouring rain here. No green screen here in the back of the Line A. In Florida, they call a screened-in porch a lanai, and I call it a Line A, and nobody gets it but me and hockey fans. Right?
Hell yes.
Yeah, buddy. I might as well read this. This was point 6A and B of the Quick Six show topics that I never got to with Moose. Top-seeded Brad Gushue has a date in the men's Elite Eight today at the PointsBet Invitational in Oakville, Ontario. That's curling. Gushue's foursome plays Ryan Weeb's squad, while Brendan Botcher's second-seeded team faces Mike McEwen's curling crew in another featured game. On the women's side, top seed Carrie Anderson faces Kayla Skirlick, while the second-seeded Rachel Holman, she's my favorite, plays Isabel Ladisser's quartet in another featured Final 8 showdown. And to golf, the Ryder Cup is finally here, and U.S. captain Zach Johnson says it's time to let golf's thoroughbreds run. It all gets going this morning in Italy with 4 matches of foursome. Scotty Scheffler and Sam Burns face John Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton in the first match. Johnson sitting out Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas. Have they already teed off? I don't know. I'm not a golf guy. I'm just reading you what the sports break said, the Sports Wire. We stick to hockey and football here. We stick to what we know about. But our sports updates are brought to you by Common Crown Brewing in Calgary. Head down to the tap room, 28th Street Northeast, Thursday through Saturday, noon to 8 p.m., and check out their beers. 5 of them, their featured core 5, are all in the fridge there, chilling, waiting for you. Got till 8 tonight, Saturday, noon till 8. Check them out ahead of time at Common Crown Brewing Company, commoncrown.ca. And by the way, it would be a good weekend to go over to Overtime Hockey Lanes, too. It's just down the street, and they've got a bunch of new things going on there, too, at Overtime Hockey Lanes. So our time in Calgary was obviously very beneficial for everybody. Text line, and we got some good stuff coming in here. We always do. We have the smartest and best-looking audience in the broadcasting business. Troy in Toronto writes in 902-518-3033. Troy says, hey, Rod. Troy from Toronto here. First time I'm watching on Game Plus TV on the Rogers cable service. I panicked that I couldn't participate in the show now, but then remembered about the text line. RP show looks good on the big screen TV. Have a good one, everybody. You don't have a question? You don't have a comment, Troy? I will say this. Oh, my gosh. I don't know how many people have seen this, but Serena really got Leaf fans going on our other show. We've started a Panthers and Lightning specific podcast called Cats and Bolts, and oh, my God. She said the Leafs have a reputation or history of choking, and they're all going nuts about that. And you're all just starting to meet Serena and what she's all about. She says these things and doesn't even think about it again. The past few shows I've been, Serena, you said this, and they're all going off. You said this. She's like, why are you telling me that? I don't care what they think. It's hilarious.
How about that?
Getting Leafs fans to chase their tail, A, it ain't that hard. And B, never gets old. I'll say this. Thank you, Bill in Regina. Still our #1 city for viewership. Bill writes that he says, Saskatchewan Rush game tickets for Moose Jaw. Pre-sale starts today. That's the National Lacrosse League, and I love this. And I could spend a lot more time on this. They're going to play a neutral site preseason game. Pro lacrosse. They got teams all over the continent. 16 teams now, I think. And I'm just praying for the day that they bring one to South Florida. But I was begging the old ownership group of the Rush to bring a game to Regina, where I was living at the time, in the Brand Center, because I was a champion of Regina sports and the sports community. But they said they would, and then they never did. And I love them, but they didn't do it. And now they sold the team, and they're bringing a game not to Regina, but 40 miles down the road to Moose Jaw, and they're going to play the Calgary Roughnecks, and I think it's fantastic. Go sell it out. Thank you, Bill, for the info. NLL, you're welcome for the free pub. So we'll continue the audience takeover when we come back, and then Moose will rejoin in hour 2. We'll be playing NFL Deal or No Deal for the weekend. And Justin Dunk will be with us, too. I'm just checking Chris Sanford to see if your Giants, who they're losing to this weekend. That's all coming up in hour 2. We'll be right back on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
It's what we call audience takeover. In the radio business, we'd call it open line. Yeah, we're going to hear what they have to say on the streets. And I want to thank the Medicine Hat Tigers for the wardrobe today. Somehow or another, these teams and companies are finding me here in South Florida. So yeah, this, I don't wear T-shirts, but how about this? Are you paying attention, Clark? Manscaped, where right now you can get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code RP, the RP Show. But how about this T-shirt they sent? Can we say this on the air? Manscaped, your balls will thank you.
How about that?
How about that? Right? Yeah, so if you order now, there are a multitude of free gifts that you can get from Manscaped. Just go check them out. But you got to use the promo code, the RP Show, and tell them RP sent you. So thank you, Medicine Hat, which reminds me, so we have comments have come in here that I've asked for, and I appreciate you. The football people just can't wait until Fridays. For sure. Larry in Medicine Hat says, if the Vikings lose to the Panthers, will the negotiations for Cousins to the Jets ramp up. How often do we see in-season quarterback trades? I don't think that's going to happen. Number one, the Vikings aren't going to lose to the Panthers. Number two, they're in that NFC North where you got the Bears are a write-off already. And while the Lions will probably win it, Green Bay didn't look very good last night. I think it's pretty early for the Vikings to be writing off the season, i.e. sending Kirk Cousins anywhere. And what have the Jets got this week? They got Kansas City. They're going to lose that one. So they will be looking for a quarterback, but I don't think they're going to be getting Kirk Cousins. And there is a salary cap, let's not forget. Even if the Vikings retain a portion of that contract, I can't see them moving him. Why not just play the season out and say, bye-bye, Kirk? It didn't work out. Troy in Toronto, who's watching on his big screen TV on Rogers Cable for the first time, has written back. He says, sorry, Rod, I'm working on a project, quote, and listening to the show at the same time. I'm a little sad my Packers got beaten by the hated Lions, but with the youngest team in the league, I'm expecting growing pains for a while. Well, there's a guy with the proper attitude. What did we think was going to happen when you moved on from Aaron Rodgers? Are you regretting that? I don't think Green Bay is, especially with the way that his New York Jets career started out. And he's done for the year already. You're not going to be on top all the time unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs, which they're not, and their time's coming. It's just not anytime soon. From Bomber Boy, when I said, hey, I wouldn't be playing Chad Kelly either if I was the Argos against a Winnipeg team that has a history of headshots on quarterbacks. Bomber Boy writes in and says, only one team has taken out multiple quarterbacks with dirty hits resulting in suspensions, and it's not the Bombers, Rod. Cough, cough. Riders. Cough. Thank you, Bomber Boy. Thanks for the laugh. Regarding next hour's guest, Justin Dunk, Bomber Boy says, 3-Down Nation team produces elite-level CFL coverage, just like the RP show. They know their stuff. We're like Parts Source. We know our stuff. Kirk in Toronto writes in and says, Florida Heat returns all next week here in the Big Smoke. He says, Football Friday is always my favorite day of the week on the RP show. And as Chad Kelly would say, go Argos. Is there a renaissance happening in Toronto around your football team? Comes from Chad Kelly, man. It's interesting. When they say he's missing out on playing in a Grey Cup atmosphere in Winnipeg tonight. He played in a Grey Cup last year and led his team on a game-winning drive. Chad Kelly doesn't need to play tonight. Everybody needs to just stop. Mike Lee writes in, Mydale Mike from Chicago. He says the Blackhawks game was a ton of fun. Hey, Mike. Go back to the start. What was our third point? We talked about Connor Bedard and our impressions and him being named the second star last night and him centering the top line. Thank you, Mike, for the photos. Just go rewind, or maybe you're watching it on television. Either way, we talked about it. NFL next hour with the Moose and Just the Dunk after this brief pause.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
God bless you, because I see Naylor saying the same thing about the going to one division versus two. I've given up 20 years full-time in the Canadian Football League here, following the league since 1991, doing sidelines. It ain't happened in that time. I was lobbying for it. Oh, and then we want to talk about CFL expansion. I gave up.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Thank you very much, Rick Regan. Yes, it is the RP Show. The sun has come out here in South Florida, as you can see, and I hope you are ready for a lot of fun here in hour two of your favorite daytime sports television talk show, but also on the radio in Atlanta on WQEE and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live. I let the cat out of the bag. I'm in South Florida. Darren Moose DuPont is in Edmonton, where he is readying for a university football broadcast tonight. The Alberta Golden Bears against the Regina Rams. Well, do we not have Moose? Hi, Jim. Hello. Is Jim Barker back? Oh, Tuna just got thrown right under the bus.
I was gonna say right underneath.
Yeah. How do those treads feel, Tuna?
Spicy.
Anyways, I'm just ready for fun. That was actually the perfect intro into hour two, Moose. Are you ready to have fun here in hour two?
Yeah.
Not like we weren't in hour one, but the audience is a little spicy. They're a little cheeky here. And to be honest, I think we're actually turning the tide in Winnipeg, even their own fans that were so upset. Big game tonight at IG Field. It was supposed to be a Grey Cup preview. Toronto coming in, but they're resting their top guy. Even they're starting to see a little bit of the humor in it and maybe some of the offshoots of it. Blah, 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 blah. We can talk some NHL. I guess my point is we're going to get to NFL deal or no deal here right away. and that's always fun. We're not just going to talk about the NFL games and whether Darren takes the betting line or not from BetRegal, but also some storylines around all those games, and we'll invite all kinds of audience participation here. 902-518-3033. A quick one on the hockey. I haven't even looked at the NHL schedule tonight, other than, because it doesn't matter. I'm going to the Carolina Hurricanes at the Florida Panthers here tonight, and I thank the Panthers because I got an email saying, don't forget it's a 6 p.m. start. Otherwise, I would have been an hour late in the coldest rink known to man. And I'm pretty happy, Darren, because did you see on my story, actually, I think it was the show story, they sent a golf cart to pick me up. I know we talked about this the other day, but I want to say it again. They sent a golf cart out from the rink to the far reaches of the parking lot to pick me up and bring me back. It wasn't even raining. That is, how could you not love the Florida Panthers if you're me? I challenge the Golden Bears to do that tonight for you.
Yeah, that would be great. I should give them a call. And it is raining here, too. So unless they're going to let me park right next to the broadcast booth, which isn't the case, ride from the parking lot, man. That's first class. First class.
You know, I don't think I've ever been at the park in Edmonton where the Golden Bears football team plays. Is that Foot Field, or where is it that they play in Edmonton?
Yeah.
How is that for broadcasting games?
You know what? We have great sight lines. It's not bad. It's very similar to Griffith Stadium in Saskatoon in terms of broadcast sight lines and where you are. It's a cool atmosphere. It's small, but it's a very neat atmosphere. And then all winter, they put a dome over it, one of those inflatable domes over the field so they can practice indoors all winter long.
So the amazing thing is, yes, we are live on television, radio, and streaming, and then podcast for people listening later, but it's a very intimate gathering here of our crew, as you know. So when I said we'll get to the NFL, we have a lot of time to get to Deal or No Deal here and stuff. And I'm pretty excited. I mean, the focus of my life Thursday night was not the Packers and the Lions. God knows everybody else was. They had enough people watching. I was very excited to watch the Blackhawks and the Blues live from the United Center. My good friend Mike was there with his wife Joanne. You know them, in the United Center in Chicago. And he brought up Bedard's 2 assists last night for the Chicago Blackhawks. The next one. He did nothing to dispel the notion that he's going to be the greatest thing. And by the way, who said he was going to be a point a game in his rookie season? This guy. So Mike brought it up, how much fun it was in Chicago last night. And I said, hey, Mike, this is near the end of hour one. You weren't on with us. I said, we talked about it at the top of the show. Mike, he is a charter member of the Rod Squad. He writes and he says, sorry, I was going through airport security when your show started. He said, quite an emotional roller coaster last night watching the game. Flying home today. Air travel's great, but it isn't fun. He's a friend of the Bedard family. Their family's friends of the Bedard family. And here's a Mike Lee quote. Write it down. I like going places, but I don't like traveling.
How about
you
that?
See the difference, right? Right? Makes so much sense.
I've heard him say it.
Yeah, you probably heard him say it live. I like going places, but I don't like traveling. That's why people are now finally got it. I just want to sit here in South Florida. I was telling the Panthers this the other day. I just want to sit here every day and do my show and love life. And that's what's happening, particularly thanks to you and our crew. So, yeah, things couldn't be much better. Twisted Mike writing in regarding the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, primarily their media, but a lot of their fans upset about Chad Kelly, the top quarterback for Toronto, not playing tonight in what would have been a heavyweight bout, a Grey Cup preview. Doug Brown, I don't want to speak for Doug, and I like Doug a lot. I like Doug Brown a lot. And I don't know that he called the Argos cowardly. Somebody did. I don't think it was Doug Brown. But he is upset that Chad Kelly's not playing. So Twisted Mike writes in and says, Doug Brown isn't the most intelligent either. Too many hits to the head, says Twisted Mike. And he says, no Grey Cups either. Do you know how to win the Grey Cup? All he needs to do is shoot his mouth off. I don't know. How about this one? Dave is watching in Niagara Falls, Ontario. He says, on Game Plus TV, he says, could you imagine if the Argos win with a second-string quarterback playing? Go Argos. Have a great weekend, guys. I don't even know who their backup quarterback is. And don't get mad at me, everybody, because I don't know who the backup quarterback is for most teams. Do you know the Argos second-string quarterback? Because I don't.
I was just sitting here thinking to myself, don't put me on the spot. Don't put me on the spot because I don't know.
Don't worry about it because I don't know. I don't know.
Exactly. You know, off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of who it is, and I'm not coming up with anybody. But, yeah, I mean, man, if they do, then all of a sudden you got some questions to ask in Winnipeg. This is kind of like you better win on guaranteed win night.
Well, maybe the Bombers are scared. Even when people knew all week that Toronto wasn't going to play their full lineup, this was still voted Canada's Game of the Week by our audience. There's some other really big games. Saskatchewan at BC tonight, which even as Jim Barker and I talked about last hour, it would almost take a miracle for Sask to not make the playoffs. And yet all the negativity around there is unbelievable. It's a foregone conclusion in the fan base and the media that the coach and the GM are going to be fired. And, oh, boy, not a real happy place. Calgary-Hamilton's a big one. And Montreal-Ottawa's a big one, too. The Alouettes can clinch a playoff spot with a win. Buffalo Bill writes in on the 902 text line for EMJ Marketing. Buffalo Bill says, greetings and no hallucinations from sunny 18 degrees Celsius, Lignite, North Dakota. Football Friday approved. Go CFL go. And he says the Vikings are making it easy for therapists by losing out of the gate instead of the yearly big letdown like the Maple Leafs. I'm just reading it, Darren, not asking for anybody's take on it. Okay, while we have the time, let's get into NFL Deal or No Deal for our official betting partner, Bet Regal. You're going to be playing some betting action this weekend. Made Bet Regal your choice at betregal.ca. You ready, Darren?
Let's go.
Yeah, for those that don't know, I give the point spreads from the odds makers at Bet Regal, and Darren decides whether he's going to take the bet or not. And there's some juicy ones here. The Washington Commanders at the Philadelphia Eagles in a massive NFC East clash. The Eagles are favored by 9. Deal or no deal?
No deal. I think, the Commanders didn't look good last week. I like him in this spot to cover, not to win.
I'm not taking the deal either. Nope, I think it will not be Eagles by 9. Baltimore Ravens at Cleveland Browns. AFC North battle, the black and blue division. The Browns are favored by 3.5 at home against the Ravens. Deal or no deal?
It's a tough one. Cleveland's got one of the best defenses in all of football. But no deal. I think Baltimore will find a way to win.
I'm taking the deal. Deshaun Watson has got back to be the pre-scandal Deshaun Watson. I think they'll win easily by 3.5. By the way, some of these quarterbacks that got the bag in the offseason, including Lamar Jackson, aren't exactly living up to the payday. You know what I'm saying? The Atlanta Falcons at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags aren't exactly setting the world on fire in the early going, but they are favored by 3 at home to the Falcons. Deal or no deal?
Yeah, a game that's going to be played in London. I think the Jags will get it right. I think they'll get it right, and they'll win, and I'll take the deal.
I'm going to take the deal as well. Sorry, Atlanta. WQEE. America's Game of the Week, the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. We talked about this one yesterday. And going back and forth with Joe Lazito about this one. Big Bills fan. He thinks it's going to be a rout. They're going to kick the stuffing out of the Dolphins. Going to gut them. Fillet them. That's what he thinks. Bills favored by 3 in Buffalo. What do you think? Deal or no deal?
No deal. Even in Buffalo, I like the Dolphins. Their offense, Jalen Waddle back. It'll be fun, though.
I'll take the deal. The Dolphins are getting pretty cocky. By the way, it's 1:11 Eastern, 11:11 Mountain where you are. Just pointing that out, everybody, if you're into numerology. Visualize a positive outcome to your current situation. The Pittsburgh Steelers at the Houston Texans. Texans are showing a little more than we all expected, but they are home underdogs to the Steelers, who are favored by 3. Deal or no deal?
Deal. Steelers will win that. But Texans, they've got a pretty good defense and some things going on there.
Agreed. Los Angeles Rams at the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are favored by 1. This is, if I had my choice, a game I would stay away from in the betting realm. Colts favored by 1 at home over the Rams. Deal or no deal?
No deal. They don't know who's going to play at quarterback, whether it's Richardson or Gardner Minshew. Rams. I'll take the Rams.
Yeah, I'm not taking the deal either. This is a game that came up last hour. Minnesota Vikings at the Carolina Panthers. Vikings 0-3. At the similarly 0-3 Carolina Panthers, the Vikes are favored on the road by 4.5. Deal or no deal?
Deal. I think I got a notification that Bryce Young's going to play in this game for Carolina, but Minnesota's too good to go to 0-4. So I'll take the deal.
I'm taking the deal as well. The question came in from Larry in Medicine Hat. I'll put it to you. Should the Vikings lose this game, does that up the sweepstakes of Kirk Cousins going to the Jets? I say no, but what do you think?
I think yes. At least it will get the conversation going. At 0-3, you can salvage your year, get back. 0-4, you really got to start thinking about next year. And I would really consider trading him, unless you're planning on signing him to a long-term deal.
Which they won't. They're going to win anyway, so it doesn't matter. My Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans favored by 3.5 at home. Deal or no deal?
No deal. I'm going to go with Baker to bounce back.
I'm not. I'm going to take the Saints to win at home. Here's one for you. The Denver Broncos are at Chicago. The Broncos are off to an 0-3 start, and people are saying, media. I'm not sure the media are people. They're saying that Sean Payton, the coach of the Broncos, is got karma biting him in the butt real quick for what he said in the offseason about his predecessor, Nathaniel Hackett, and the terrible coaching job he did in Denver. That karma's biting Sean Payton. Aside from the point spread, do you buy that?
A little bit. A little bit I do. I think there's something to that. You know, you put good out, you get good back. But, yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one because you got two teams that are just both going the wrong way. They're wrestling to see who can finish in last place and get the first overall pick.
Denver favored by 3 at Chicago. Deal or no deal?
Jeez. Sure, I'll take the deal. Just only because Russell Wilson's playing better than Justin Fields is.
Yeah, I'm not going to take Mondo pressure on the Bears, and I think they're better than this. I think they'll win the game. Your Titans, home to Cincinnati. The Bengals are favored by 2.5 at Tennessee, despite all the Bengals' problems. They're favored going into Tennessee. Deal or no deal?
I'll take the deal, especially if Joe Burrow's going to play. It's questionable, but I think he'll play, and they'll win by a field goal or more.
I'll take the deal, too. Carlos in Indianapolis says Anthony Richardson, that's the Colts quarterback, is on the road to becoming the NFL's Buck Pierce. By that, I assume he means injured early and ending up in the press box. I hope that's not the case. We got to speed it up here. Las Vegas at the LA Chargers. The Chargers are favored by 5. Deal or no deal?
Deal.
I'll take it as well. The New England Patriots at the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys favored by 6.5 in a redemption game for the Cowboys. Are they going to beat them by that much?
No deal. No, they'll win, but not by that much.
I'm taking the deal. Arizona Cardinals at San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are favored by 14 points. Deal or no deal?
No deal there either. I think Arizona's shown they can stay with teams even if they don't win.
I agree. Although they may be playing the best team in the NFL this weekend in the 49ers, I won't take that bet. Just 2 more games. Kansas City at the New York Jets. Chiefs favored by 8.5. Deal or no deal?
Deal. Not high enough. Deal.
It's a deal for me, dog. And the Seattle Seahawks at the New York Football Giants. The Seahawks are favored on the road by 1. Deal or no deal?
Deal there, too. I think the Seahawks will pull that one out.
I don't. It's a long ways to travel. Giants are a better team than they've showed. No deal. Deal or no deal? Always a lot of fun. A presentation of our official betting partner, Bet Regal. We'll take a timeout on the way. Justin Dunk of 3downnation.com. It's all on the table. NFL, CFL. We haven't got to college yet. We might mention that next. And, of course, audience participation, 902-518-3033. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, WQEE, podcast, YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
2 million liters of power creates electricity. Electricity creates.
View Casino. Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay, the RP Show continues. And by the way, this is the weekend. It's finally here today, day one of the Premier Sports Card Convention at the Parkland Pavilion in Red Deer, where collectors, enthusiasts, and sports lovers are uniting to celebrate the beauty and value of their treasured items. You can get your tickets ahead of time or information at premiersportscardcon.ca. But by now, if you haven't done that, you can get your tickets at the door. Just head on down there, Parkland Pavilion in Red Deer. I'm in the South Florida studio where it is hot, hot, hot. I almost liked that it was raining earlier. Darren Moose DuPont joins us. He is in Edmonton, where he's getting ready to call a university football game. I just want to run down the sports schedule for tonight. NHL, a lot of preseason games. Carolina Hurricanes at the Florida Panthers here, 6 p.m. local at Amerant Bank Arena. Can't wait to get in there. Oh, it's the coldest rink in the NHL. I still have not yet decided what I'm going to wear. Winnipeg Jets at the Ottawa Senators. Philadelphia Flyers at the Boston Bruins. Carolina at Tampa. That's split squad for the Canes because they also have a team playing here. Rangers at Islanders. Leafs at Canadians. Oilers at Flames. Battle of Alberta. Coyotes at Golden Knights and Kings at Ducks. The Toronto Blue Jays host the Tampa Bay Rays in the final weekend of the regular season. I'm just going through my Score app, the GOAT of sports apps. 4 college football games and CFL doubleheader. Argos at Bombers, Riders at BC Lions. And I'll get to the U.S. college games in a second, but from the text line, a lot of guys want to talk about this, about that Argo backup quarterback. We couldn't remember his name. Kirk in Toronto says, hi, Rod. It's Argo backup is Cameron Dukes, and he's getting fed to the Lions tonight. Bombers. I hope it doesn't get ugly. As somebody wrote in earlier, what if he wins? How about that? We might find out, is Chad Kelly really that good, or does he just have that kind of talent around him? That's another reason why I think people are really curious to see what happens tonight at IG Field. Jim Nicolasian writes in from Weyburn, my second hometown. Jim Nicolasian, not many people would know how to say that. He says, I want to add my voice to the need to fire the Rough Riders coaching staff. My reason is every game, the opposition teams make better adjustments at halftime. That is coaching. Signed, Jim Nick in Weyburn. It is interesting. You weren't on the other day. I guarantee you weren't, because you would have had a take on this when it came up. Who is the team that fans love to see lose the most other than the Leafs? And I said, well, people love to see the Cowboys lose because, trust me, I'm a Cowboys fan, and every time they lose, I got people rubbing it in my face. It is what it is. And I said, Rough Riders, same. Yankees, same. And I'll tell you something. As a guy that was the voice of that team for 20 years, longest-serving voice in franchise history, those are iconic franchises right there. Cowboys, Riders, Leafs, Yankees. You know what I mean? Who else do people love to see lose? Patriots. I mean, you're a Leaf. Yeah, Patriots. Well, 6 Super Bowls. It's almost a badge of honor to have people want to see your team lose or see you lose if you are that team. Don't you think?
Oh, big time. I mean, that's what happens when you get on top. You know, people want to cut you down or they want to see you lose. And, you know, nobody ever sits there and hopes the Columbus Blue Jackets lose and celebrates when the Columbus Blue Jackets lose or when the Detroit Lions lose. That's why we love the Lions. Nobody liked to celebrate the Riders losing in the 90s. Nobody was looking forward to them losing then, you know, until the early, well, even in the early 2000s, until they started winning. Then they started winning in the early 2000s, and then people loved it. And then they kind of got arrogant, and then they lost it. Now people want to see them lose. And it's, Winnipeg's at an interesting point, right? You talked about the 29 years for Winnipeg, and then it was so great to see them win and see them on top consistently. And now starting to complain about they're not bringing their best in Toronto. And, you know, other fan bases are starting to enjoy seeing Winnipeg lose now that they've been on top for a little while.
Yeah. Like I say, you're getting to be old enough now that you see it, right? The circle come around, you know?
Yes.
Now, but I'm so old. How old are you, Rod? That I see every circle coming around. Again, we own the 55-plus age demographic across Canada, and we're working on it in the USA. So those people that are 60, 70, 80, they're sitting there going,
Yeah.
Because they see way more than I do. And I see a lot. And it's tough sometimes sitting back waiting for it to come around because you know it's going to come around.
Always.
You know? It does. Adam in Hamilton says, when Anthony Calvillo was leading the Alouettes, everyone wanted to see them lose. Yeah, because they won all the time. I mean, there are those, I will say this, that you can't help but respect. You may hate them. You may hate them, but deep down, there's a part of you that loves him. And I got to say, this is from a Canadian Football League angle because I spent 20 years in the league. And I'm sure the NFL people would say the same about their rivals and stuff. When we would roll up to McGill Stadium in Montreal on the team bus, the bus driver would turn the engine off and the bus would still be shaking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We knew we were going to get in our asses kicked in Montreal. We just knew. The question was by how much? That might have been the best CFL team of all time, those Alouettes teams of the 2000s. You couldn't lay a hand on Calvillo. You couldn't breathe on him. And I don't mean because the refs were protecting him. You couldn't get near him because their O-line was so good. And then I got to know AC post. We all leave, our roles and get to know each other and realize he is as good a guy as you thought.
Yeah.
And you look at G-Roy with BC. He was all, this, Darren, because you were a Rider fan in that era. He was always the one that was burning you deep when the game was on the line. It's hard not to hate a guy like that, right?
I know. I go back to those Montreal teams, and that offensive line, Scott Flory was on it, Brian Chu was on it. You mean, defensively, they had great players. They were good defensively, even underrated. And Ben Cahoon, and they had Richardson, and then S.J. Green, and it was just bang, 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 and so much fun to watch. And it was. You hated them because they won all the time, but you didn't really hate anybody on the team, not like you did with some of your other rivals. So yeah, I agree. And there's guys like G-Roy around the league that universally respected, no matter how bad they're beating your team. That's always happens.
BW in Edmonton says, the Score app. Is that available on Canadian smartphones? Dude, that's where it was born.
Yeah.
That's the network that we all used to work at. And to be honest with you, and those guys that are open right now in the Game Plus studio, I just had this intuition the other day. Just a sense that we are doing now on Game Plus television what we were doing with the Score 20 years ago. And that's, listen, all of us work together. Elliot Friedman, Arash Madani, Scott Laughlin, Sarah Orleski, anybody who's good. We all came in together. And a lot of guys that are at Game Plus right now, Glennie McDonald was one. Glennie Mack, we were just talking about him this morning. So that's the channel, the Score. BW in Edmonton, you must be old enough to remember that. It's now Sportsnet 360, but they kept the app because it's so damn good. I am on that flipping thing 20 to 25 times a day. So yes, it's available on Canadian smartphones, but it's also available on U.S. smartphones. I've yet to find anything better in the States than the Score app. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, I love when the Rough Riders lose. And he says, did you see O'Day's presser the other day? Wow. I didn't see it, but I've heard a lot about it. And I got to clean up the language here because some people are getting upset, some Rider fans in the audience, Moose. But one of those is John. He says, O'Day is trying to save his butt. I'm ready to kick it to the curb. Not a fan of O'Day at all. Time for change. Well, but speaking of iconic franchises, this is what got my mind on it. They're in a playoff spot. Saskatchewan Roughriders, it would take almost a miracle for them to miss, yet their fans want everybody fired.
Yeah.
I don't really understand that other than that's pressure. And you've spent the last couple of weeks in the area, so why don't you tell me why there's so much heat on them, given the fact they are, I would think, going to make the playoffs, barring a mini miracle.
I think they're upset because, they sit there and see what Winnipeg's doing, and they want to be Winnipeg. Truth is, you're just
they were
not
Winnipeg.
There yet. They were.
No, they were.
Yeah, well, for sure. And it's just in the nature, right? I mean, as you've said and pointed out, and we've talked a lot about on this show, the most popular person in Saskatchewan has always been the backup quarterback. Always. They always want the next. So they're just never happy. I mean, I'm sure if they were in first place, there'd be something to complain about. And that's just the nature of a fan base that To be honest, I mean, despite the great years, and you were a part of those great years, there hasn't been a lot of winning, right? So it's a tough fan base because they've gone through a lot of crap.
Yeah, and I don't want to spend a ton of time talking about it because I'm not the Rider guy anymore. This is not the Rider show. But when we talked about seeing things coming, I'll just tell you this right now. Rough Riders are in a very bad place. It's kind of a rhetorical question why I ask why people are so upset, because they see it. You've explained it all. The losing on the field, off the field. I'll tell you this. It's going to take 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 years to clean up the mess that's currently there. And until they make a major change at the top, it's going to take even longer. We've seen it happen before. And why people are buying what the team's peddling, I don't know. But that's their deal, not mine anymore. Dale in Winnipeg writes in and says, good afternoon, all. Jack and I, that's his son, Jack and I have been great. The show is still great. Thank you. Happy weekend to you all. Bombers by 5? Oh, boy, listen, for as upset as they are in Winnipeg that Chad Kelly's not playing, they're all going to be watching. Like,
oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like they're tuning out. The point spread is 7.5 at Bet Regal for the Bombers over the Argos. And you said you would take that, and I think I will too. I think it'll be far more than that, unless Cameron Dukes comes out. And let's not forget, who was Chad Kelly really? Maybe Cameron Dukes is the next Damon Allen. I don't know. But wouldn't that be something?
It would be something. It would be unreal. I mean, you're right. Who is he? But who was Chad Kelly? Same thing. Doesn't mean Chad Kelly's not very good. If this guy comes out and plays really well, they could have 2 great quarterbacks. And in this league, you need 2 great quarterbacks. What team hasn't gone to the backup? It's pretty rare that you have to use your backup at some point in the Canadian Football League.
That's the thing. I don't know who's finding talent in Toronto, who that person is, and maybe Dunk can answer it. Is Dunk logged in, by the way, Clark? Yeah, okay, but I just remember in Edmonton, when Paul Jones was finding players for the Edmonton Eskimos and Hugh Campbell was the GM, all their quarterbacks and they would play in the preseason, and they would kick our ass over and over. And I'm like, oh, Ricky Ray, get him out. Put in this Moz guy. Oh, rope, whack, whack, whack. Stop. You know, I'm like, who are all these guys? They're all Hall of Famers. Maybe that's what the Argos are doing. I don't know. Okay, Moose, have a great call tonight. Break a leg.
You bet, yeah.
Justin Dunk will talk about the hottest CFL topics when we come back, and maybe his Jaguars podcast, too. Talk about what's wrong with the Jaguars. If anything, we are live on the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
RP Show continues on a Football Friday, and guys, Manscaped has done it again. Introducing the Handyman Facial Razor. It's brand new, not for your junk, it's for up top. And like every other Manscaped product, a ton of thought has gone into it. Sleek, compact design, charges by USB. We all have problems fitting our razor into our travel kit, right? Don't you? I know I do, for road trips. All you young hockey players and football players that follow us, do yourself a favor. Go to manscaped.com. Order yours now. Use the promo code The RP Show and get 20% off and free shipping. Here it is right here. This is a razor, y'all. Not joking. Manscaped.com. The RP Show is the promo code. All right, Justin Dunk joining us from 3downnation.com. Lots to get to with him. Hey, Jay, do you travel a lot? Isn't it a pain in the butt trying to get everything into your shaving kit, or is it just me?
It used to be, and I could see why that would be useful for Manscaped, but I just go with an old-fashioned razor now. It's much smaller to get around.
Ah, there you go. Gotcha. Can you believe the furor over Chad Kelly not starting tonight for the Argos? Wow.
I can believe it, but I don't understand it. The Argos are solely focused on winning a Grey Cup, Roddy. So I'm with you on this. I've seen the show and your comments on it. All Toronto cares about is winning a CFL championship. I would put this mistake and the hype being taken out of this game on the league office and the schedule maker. This game, Roddy, should have started the CFL regular season.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But here we are. Like, do you actually think we're going to go back to the balanced schedule? I complained about it. Nobody ever listens. They don't ever listen. Do you think we'll go back to balanced schedule and this type of thing? I don't.
I can see a path back to it. I think we're in the schedule we're in now because teams were trying to be prudent with their funds, let's say, as COVID sort of worked its way, I guess, out of the mainstream conscience of our system. It's still around, obviously, but as the teams worked, they were trying to save money on travel costs. So it's a possibility, Roddy, as we continue on here in, I guess, kind of post-COVID life, even though it is still around, post-lockdown life, I'll call it. So I could see a path to it, but I don't know if it's going to happen very soon.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I guess they'll sit down and they'll look at attendance figures and ratings and make a decision based on that, or at least I would hope that they would. But back to tonight's game. It's still voted Canada's Game of the Week by our audience, despite the fact Chad Kelly's not playing, because I think there's a huge curiosity factor. And what do you expect out of Cameron Dukes tonight, who will start at quarterback for the Argos?
Cameron Dukes is very intriguing, and part of the reason that he ended up with the Argos, I heard you talking to Dupont about this before the break, is because of Mike Davis. He played for the Las Vegas indoor team down there, and Davis had coached with the Argonauts before taking that head coaching role with Las Vegas. That's the connection. So the Argos are really high on Dukes and his capability. I don't think it's fair to judge him on that Stampeders game alone, where Chad Kelly was knocked out and Dukes had to come into that game in a flash, because now he's got a full week of taking the number one reps. It's a very deep Argonauts team that I think can be competitive in this game, despite Chad Kelly and some of the other regulars not necessarily suiting up. But Dukes, we got to look at it for what it is. His first career CFL start. He's probably not going to set the world on fire. And if he's not terrible, that's probably a win overall for Dukes in his future.
That's a lot of talk about one game tonight, Argos and Bombers, which is fine. It's a big game. But what's getting the most clicks at 3 down right now? What's hot over there?
Oh, man, there's always a ton of stuff. I think actually what's hot right now is the list of Heck Crichton candidates that my colleague JC Abbott put out. We go back and forth about it behind the scenes, him and John Hodge and JC and I. And if you look at the Canadian quarterbacks on that list, Canadian university quarterbacks, I should say, they are putting up numbers, Roddy. If you want to watch highly entertaining Canadian football and you're jonesing for it and you don't get enough of it from the CFL, or you're sick of these meaningless games at the end of the season, I would highly encourage you to tune in and watch some of these games, particularly tonight in the Bridge City in Saskatoon. That's where I am right now. Garrett Rooker, who for my money might be atop that Heck Crichton Trophy watch list, 10 touchdowns, 1 interception on the season, averaging well over 300 yards per season, spreads the ball around. This guy is legit. And he's got not one, but 2 NFL caliber offensive tackles blocking for him, Theo Benedette and Gabriel Manu on the other side. There have been multiple NFL teams come up to see these guys on the campus of UBC. So people need to start paying attention to Canadian university football in our country.
Well, you know what? Speaking of French names, like you just named, we do have a lot of viewers in Quebec, in La Belle Province, watching on Game Plus through Videotron, Rogers, Eastlink, into the Maritimes, and there are big Alouettes fans out there for obvious reasons. And I have said, what a turnaround by the Owls under Cody Fajardo and Jason Maas, and people are like, it's not a turnaround at all. They were 500 last year. They're a 500 team this year. It feels to me like they've advanced. How do you feel about the Alouettes this year?
I know where you're going with that, Roddy. It did, especially off the start of the season, but I feel like now they're kind of back into that 500 mold. And I think I know where you're going with this. Everybody after free agency and losing Trevor Harris and Geno Lewis, especially those 2 big names, Pickett was another one that went to the Argos, Ardarius Pickett, thought that the Alouettes were going to be bottom of the CFL. So I think their scouting staff, Danny Machochi, need to be commended for finding guys like an Austin Mack and some of the other pieces that have filled in there. Sean Lemon, I thought, brought some added juice to that pass rush, but they haven't been able to compete with the top teams in the CFL, which you ultimately need to do to make any noise in the playoffs. So I think until the Owls show that they're competitive with that upper tier in the league, then they're going to continue to middle around that 500.
Yeah, well, Wally was just on here on Monday and just said, hey, all you got to do is get in. And if anybody would know, it's him. The Alouettes could get hot in the playoffs, and it was Dunnigan who predicted a Winnipeg-Montreal Grey Cup. I was going to send him for a drug test after that, but who knows? Who knows? And he's a sharp guy. Hey, what about the Heat in Ryderville right now? My guy. Wow. Hot, hot, hot.
Is really hot, my man. And I think rightfully so. It seems like the fan base is done with Craig Dickinson. And, you know, he's always treated me very well. So I'm not trying to say this because I have an axe to grind against him. It's just been a long run, and I don't necessarily think his message is always getting through or that he's getting the best out of his players all the time. And you talk to fans in the fan base, and they want everybody gone. They want Dickinson, Jeremy O'Day, Craig Reynolds gone. I don't necessarily think that's the smart way forward. I think O'Day probably should get to be able to hire another head coach. Dickinson did get them to 2 West finals. Yes, they did not get to the Grey Cup yet under his reign, because I still think there's going to be a shot here going into the playoffs. But the Riders got to play much better ball. It feels like deja vu. Last season, I know they missed the playoffs, but this team does not have any steam going down the stretch here, at least up until this point. They lost in the nation's capital to a Red Blacks team that is barely staying alive in the playoff race. So the Riders need to find some mojo and do it very quickly.
Hey, quickly, so you're doing this Jaguars podcast thing. Tell me about that. That's fun.
That's right, man. It is a lot of fun. It's part of the Believe Network, the Believe in Jaguars show. My main co-host on there is Clay Harbor, former NFL tight end. I should say my main analyst. He's got some great energy on the show, and he's got some inside knowledge because he played for Doug Pedersen with the Philadelphia Eagles. He was in the NFL for a number of years. So covering all the Jaguars stuff, obviously, it kind of came about because I was writing about Nathan Rourke for 3outnation.com. Believe reached out, and here we are. And the Jaguars go over to London 1-2, playing the 2-1 Falcons. If those records were reversed, you would say it probably would make more sense than anything. And there's a lot of heat, speaking of turning up the heat, on Trevor Lawrence. And I don't think that's right at all. He is still a top 5 graded quarterback by Pro Football Focus through 3 weeks. His O-line needs to play better. And Calvin Ridley has got to catch those juicy passes that Lawrence has been firing in there.
Well, it should be fun to follow from across the pond. You, my friend, have a great call of the Huskies and the T-Birds. That's a wonderful stadium, obviously, Griffith Stadium in Saskatoon when it's jammed. I'm sure it will be tonight. And thanks for the time, JD. Appreciate you.
Bet, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Justin Dung from 3downnation.com, the Jaguars podcast, as you know, and Canada West Football TV, Can West TV. We'll be back with overtime right after this. One last sports update and your last word, 902-518-3033, EMJ Marketing text line or on the streams. We'll return in a moment on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
It is overtime, and it's brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes. And to be honest, I'm just so darn proud of what they got going on over there, where skill and fun collide. Overtime Hockey Lanes, 28th Street Northeast in Calgary, Alberta. Give them a follow on Facebook, Overtime Hockey Lanes, or on Instagram. They've got new hours there. They've got some new lanes. And, of course, go check out the special Rod Pedersen Show lane. It's amusement park for hockey players. Just check it out and get back to me. Tell me what you think. Clark, while I do this read for Key Auto Group, can you please look up what the stats are on the daily poll for Key Auto Group? The question is, will Colin Kaepernick ever play pro football again? It's for Key Auto Group, driven by safety. Experience peace of mind with our comprehensive multi-point inspections. Visit keyautogroup.ca for automotive excellence. Will Colin Kaepernick ever play pro football again? Both Moose and I voted no off the top of the show. What are they saying on YouTube, Clark? Yeah, 86% say no. And it jogged in my mind because somebody wrote us on Twitter. I checked it in the break, and they said, please make this Kaepernick stuff stop. And, hey, don't look at us. The BC Lions are the ones that added him to their neg list in the last 24 hours, and I have no idea why they would do that. But I also have the utmost respect for their co-GMs, Neil McAvoy and Rick Campbell. They don't need, they need publicity. We all do, but they don't need stupid publicity. I just feel like those are guys that wouldn't do it. That's something Jim Popp might do. And if anybody knows my relationship with Jim Popp, we're great friends. I got nothing but I'm probably the best general manager the CFL's ever seen. But Popp would do that for his own reasons. This is the guy that brought Michael Sam into the Canadian Football League and Chad Johnson and guys like that on the off chance that it might happen. But not BC, not Rick Campbell and Neil McAvoy. Makes no sense to me. So we'll see if it happens, right? I'll get to a sports update and then read a lot of your comments because there's some gooders. Which, by the way, Nadine in Medicine Hat writing and is very excited about our podcast, Serena and my podcast, the Cats and Bolts podcast, where we talk about the Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning. It's a whole new world to us. We just started doing the show. We cover Florida NHL hockey. Fox Sports got a hold of me yesterday and said, this is really good. We've been watching. We didn't think the concept would work. It works. Way to go. So Nadine in Medicine Hat says, I'm going to watch that show instead because I like hockey. I like hockey more. Hockey, football, hockey, that's what we do here. But these Fridays are very special because we save them for football. And in the sports updates, the Toronto Blue Jays are on the cusp of locking up a playoff berth. The Jays can clinch a playoff berth if they beat the visiting Tampa Bay Rays tonight and the Mariners lose to the Texas Rangers. Toronto blanked the Yankees 6-0 Thursday night to remain in sole possession of the second American League wildcard spot. Breaking news today from the Ottawa Senators. They've appointed Steve Staios as their president of hockey operations. He joins the Sens after resigning from his post as special advisor to the Edmonton Oilers hockey operations staff. Prior to his management career, the 50-year-old Staios enjoyed a 16-year NHL career as a D-man with Boston, Vancouver, Atlanta, Edmonton, Calgary, and the Islanders. Was he not running the Hamilton Bulldogs? Clark, didn't he run the Hamilton Bulldogs? Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, that's what I just read in the Sports Update, yes. But in junior, he was there. Sports Update is for Common Crown Brewing Company. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment, featuring their Core 5. Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale, 4 of which sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. Hey, Ryan in upstate New York just popped out to say, hey, have a great weekend, everyone. Enjoy whichever sports you watch this weekend. Thank you, Ryan in upstate New York. Same for you, Jen at the Four Seasons. Allie in Texas. The Rod Squad chiming in at the end of the show here. Robert Campbell watching in Montreal says the Alouettes are legit. The addition of Darnell Sankey was a huge upgrade. Where is the one from Chad? I'm trying to... Here it is. He says, morning, Roddy and Darren. Chad in Lethbridge says, I'm off to the Dome in Calgary tonight for the Battle of Alberta preseason style. Interested to see if the Flames have a new energy with the new coach and off-season roster moves. I appreciate that he would say that, and I know him personally because we're reading all these things and we're seeing it. Last minute of play in the RP show. We're seeing it all, reading it, but you want to see it with your own two eyes, right, Chad? You want to see if it passes your own eyeball test, which is the same thing as me tonight with the Florida Panthers and the Carolina Hurricanes. Oh, man, I wanted to get to your rider comments now that I see some of them have come in. Brian in Hudson Bay, I apologize that I can't. We've run out of time. Programming note, Game Plus knows this. WQEE does not. We will not have a show on Monday as we observe National Truth and Reconciliation Day. So as we observe that, watch our replay, follow our social media channels, go to rodpeterson.com. There's still plenty of ways for us to infect your minds. So enjoy the weekend. Have a safe one, everybody. And we'll see you Tuesday, noon Eastern, here on Game Plus TV. Whoa! And Key Radio. McFly, hello.